The year 2019 was a great year for gaming, both good and bad. But let's talk about the ones that didn't exceed our expectations. These are the games that are plagued by performance issues and greedy microtransactions, and failed to deliver their ambitious promises. What to Play presents 10 of the most disappointing titles of 2019. The Play Score is an average of gamer and critic ratings. Opening at number 10 is Far Cry New Dawn. Ubisoft's track record when it comes to their Far Cry games are hit or miss. Far Cry 5 was a breath of fresh air for the series, but none could ever top Far Cry 3's impressive storytelling. And as far as spin-offs go, Ubisoft really sold us with its ridiculous and epic futuristic first-person shooter with Far Cry Blood Dragon. In New Dawn, however, it presented a ton of questionable development choices, mainly for its quality. New Dawn, like Blood Dragon, is a spin-off. The only difference is that New Dawn takes place after 5's nuclear ending. In comparison to Blood Dragon, which created a fresh retro-futuristic world, this latest spin-off doesn't bring anything new to the table. It rehashes the same old gameplay features from Far Cry 5 without putting much effort into its mechanics. While it does have some redeeming moments such as being able to blow things up, it still doesn't do anything different. Ubisoft could have done a lot more here, but they chose not to. It received a Play Score of 7.94 on the PS4, 7.49 on the PC, and 7.37 on the Xbox One. At number 9 is Rage 2. Open world insanity was Rage's selling point. id Software and Avalanche Studios' collaboration transformed this Mad Max-like shooter into a satisfying playground of chaos and destruction. Rage 2's gameplay loop was its best feature. It offers enough creative ways of causing enough destruction with your arsenal of powerful weaponry. The run-and-gun mechanics is also similar to Doom's fast-paced gameplay, but underneath all its mayhem and combat, the game suffers from its dull storytelling and not to mention its major performance issues on the PC. It's a great game but hampered by timing. GameSkinny's John Shutt said that Rage 2 feels like a game out of time. If it had come out in 2006, I think it would feel like more of a complete game. There's still an ample amount of fun things to do in this first-person shooter, if you could endure its slow and boring moments. It receives a Play Score of 7.55 on the PS4, 6.54 on the PC, and 6.19 on the Xbox One. At number 8 is Wolfenstein Youngblood. The Wolfenstein games have always been a celebration of action and adventure, set in the backdrop of Hitler's evil regime. It's the first of the Wolfenstein title to feature a co-op campaign with a drop-in drop-out system. You could grab a friend and kill Nazis together as either of the twin Blazkowicz daughters. Youngblood excels in its first-person shooter mechanics, but stumbled in its underwhelming story that doesn't feel like a Wolfenstein game at all. Most of its concerns come from its overindulgence of co-op gameplay and its controversial inclusion of microtransactions in a single-player game.
I hope there's no actual... Oh...
It really fails to deliver the same quality that made Wolfenstein titles great, and it receives a Play Score of 7.06, 5.87, and 6.21 for the PS4, PC, and Xbox One respectively. At number 7 is Shenmue III. It took 18 years to finally get a follow-up to the popular Dreamcast classic. Now built using the Unreal Engine 4, this Kickstarter-funded project was an absolute disappointment despite its genuine homage to the original. Shenmue III is an anomaly in the realm of games. Die-hard fans of the series who enjoyed the journey of Ryo and Shenhua from almost 2 decades ago will find something good here. But as a modern game coming out in 2019, it still feels like a Dreamcast title.
Hey Shenhua.
What is it, Leon?
I'm heading for the Sunflower Grove. I heard that's where the thugs went.
Are you serious? If you find them, then you should be able to find out where my father is.
That's the plan. Don't worry, I'll find them.
Thank you so much.
TechRaptor's Dustin Triplett even made a remark on his review. He said that Shenmue III doesn't tarnish the memory of the series, but it doesn't exactly move it forward either. But for a game made for fans, there's no denying that this is a step in the right direction for the future of the series. There are flaws, yes, but there's still a lot of room for improvement should there be another project in the works. Its PlayStation 4 version receives a play score of a 7.19.
Watch out, grenade!
At number 6 is Tom Clancy's Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
Smoke 'em, boys, smoke 'em!
Ubisoft's latest blunder was dead on arrival when it came out last year. Breakpoint was supposed to be the revolutionary online third-person shooter that could surpass their previous games. But its shady business practice with microtransactions was their biggest mistake, and it cost Ubisoft a full year of losses.
This was one of the most egregious screenshots in my mind, because you can basically max out your character day one without ever having to play a single minute of the game, and pretty much just have a fully fledged character, hop into PvP, whatever, and have a complete leg up on everyone else in the game. So this was awful. Thankfully, it looks like those have been removed now, but
Ghost Recon has long lost its flair after their glory days in the previous console generations. GameSpot's review said that it's essentially every Ubisoft open game rolled into one, failing to excel in any one area or establish its own identity. Breakpoint is a confusing mix of tried and tested video game cliches that doesn't do well for the series, considering that their very own The Division is starting to make a name for itself in the third-person shooter scene. It has a play score of a 6.66 for the PS4 and 5.92 on the Xbox One.
At E3 this year, Microsoft announced that Crackdown 3 had been delayed to 2017.
Originally planned for November 7th release date, Microsoft has announced that Crackdown 3 has been delayed until spring 2018.
Again.
Yeah, there are some troubling signs that Crackdown 3 might be getting pushed back yet again, this time possibly to 2019.
At number 5 is Crackdown 3. Remember this game? Well, it came out recently and no one seems to be talking about it anymore. Crackdown 3 was a follow-up to the series that we no longer care about. Sure, the ever-present destructible physics remain enjoyable as hell, but the rest of its foundations fall apart for its obvious lack of innovation and outdated designs.
So there it goes. Once you've done enough destruction, we've destroyed the superstructure, the whole thing comes crashing down. It's all physical, it's all real time.
PC Gamer did a review on the game and wrote that Crackdown 3 comes along 12 years after Crackdown, but without 12 years worth of new ideas to share. The only thing worth remembering in this latest entry is Terry Crews's character, but even his voice acting wasn't enough to carry this underwhelming title. Might as well play Grand Theft Auto 5 or Just Cause if you want more destruction and mayhem. It has a play score of 6.19 on the PC and 6.46 on the Xbox One. At 4th place is Jump Force. It's hard to take this fighting game seriously when you have an entire catalog of other great titles on the genre with better and bigger communities. Jump Force is a crossover of various shonen characters such as Naruto, Luffy, Goku, and a whole lot of anime characters in a story-driven scenario. It features an extensive roster of 52 playable characters, including the DLCs. Fanfictions aside, it gives us enough ideas for some fantasy battles that we never knew were possible.
Get back, yo! Let me spread!
But other than that, Jump Force has nothing new to showcase in the demanding and saturated fighting game genre.
Okay, how did I get... wait! No, wait, what? I refuse. What the fuck? Look at this! Look at that, Dio! Oh shit, I don't even know what happened.
Most of its concerns come from its unfinished story, terrible combo mechanics, and its unjustified AAA price tag. It has a play score of 6.85 on the PS4, 6.28 on the PC, and 5.92 on the Xbox One. At 3rd place is Anthem. Did you know that this game came out in 2019? It's sad to see a great studio fall from EA's greedy corporate hands. Anthem was ambitious. It presents a massive open world to explore, teeming with extraterrestrial threats. Its first E3 presentation blew our minds. Donning the exosuit and hanging out with your buddies while you decimate a horde of aliens is the main idea, but its final product left players with an empty experience full of grinding, repetitive gameplay, and a shallow story that's not on par with BioWare standards.
You'll get us all killed.
Now isn't the time for this.
At least the flying looks smooth. The game was so lackluster it received mixed and average reviews from various gaming sources. Reviewer Katie Plagg from GameSpot said that Anthem has good ideas, but it struggles significantly with its execution. The game's player base has drastically dropped since its release, and only a handful of players are having fun in this futuristic playground.
Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, I saw you just crash the fucking game!
But Anthem isn't over yet, hopefully. Let's hope they redeem themselves in the coming months with better expansions and events. A play score of 6.47 on the PS4, 6.14 on the PC, and 6.19 on the Xbox One. At second place is Left Alive. It's rare to see a bad Square Enix game. But when it does, it's really bad. When it was announced, it was a mix of stealth and mecha genre, which hyped a number of players. It even features art from the legendary Yoji Shinkawa that brought the Metal Gear series come to life. Fans look forward to this supposed return to the front mission universe headed by veterans of Armored Core and, of course, Metal Gear. But its promise falls short the moment you play the game. All we got was a mecha action game that had nothing to show for except its clunky combat and unreliable AI. While the game could pass visually as a modern title, it still plays like a 2008 PlayStation 3 game.
Hell yeah. It freaking hurts.
Am I stuck?
Oh,
I'm
you're
stuck. Oh no.
Nice.
Oh no. Video games.
They can't find you here.
Oh god.
Wow.
Okay. I'm gonna get
was,
through there.
Whoa.
There were other games that came out last year, but the survival shooter was literally being left alive in the dumps. There were hopes of changes, but they're all but dashed at this point. It has a play score of 5.09 on the PS4 and 3.61 on the PC.
The following contest is scheduled for one fall.
What just happened there?
And at number 1 is WWE 2K20.
I'm literally stuck in midair. Are you serious right now? Come on, 2K!
Disappointing is such an understatement. What 2K20 did was an insult to the fans of the long-running wrestling series. Just slap in some popular wrestling icons as its cover and add a new showcase mode, then you'll have another WWE 2K game in a span of 1 year. But that's not it. What made this game truly abysmal was its decrease in quality over previous titles, and that's saying a lot. I mean, seriously, what the hell happened here?
Please stop!
There's over 280 characters to choose from, but they all feel like they came out of a PlayStation 2 classic. 2K20 was by far the buggiest and the messiest game of the franchise. It had a number of baffling design choices that delaying would have been a better option, but of course, they chose not to. It has a play score of a 5.07 on the PS4, 4.36 on the PC, and 4.85 on the Xbox One.